Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. We got a cool fall morning here. We got air temps at 39, water temps dropping drastically. There should be in the mid 50s. Haven't looked yet, but you can see we've got a lot of steam coming off the water as it's cooling off. I just dropped the kids off at school. I have a little bit of time before I got to go run some other errands, but I figured I'd come out. We got a ton of rain this weekend, a ton of rain, and our rivers and stuff have been so low, a lot of our lakes so low that they've come up quite a bit. And as soon as I got out here, one of the first things I saw was how muddy the water has gotten, and that's just because of all that rain that we did get. So not only are we dealing with falling water temperatures, we've got muddy water temperatures, or muddy conditions, which generally is not good fishing. But I can tell you one thing my experience tells me to do in that situation is to go with a spinnerbait. Now in this case, this is not a typical spinnerbait that a lot of you probably would be grabbing, a double willow leaf, double Colorado. This is a single big bladed Colorado blade. This is a Picasso rumbler blade is what it's called. It's the Invisawire series. Just a awesome big fish bait, but great when you're talking about that muddy water. Technically, a lot of people would look at this and say this is a nighttime fishing bait. It absolutely is, but it's very much a muddy water, falling water temperature type bait as well. I'm going to be looking for this bigger blade to just kind of create some disturbance and allow me to retrieve it slower, which means I'm going to be keeping it in the strike zone longer. And these fish that are cold-blooded creatures, falling water temperatures, they're probably going to be a little bit lethargic, especially this morning. So we're gonna head out there, see if we can catch a few, show you how to work the old rumbler blade, and yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I don't have that much more time here, guys, in terms of open water. We probably have a few weeks, and we're going to be talking about potentially having our season be done. The weather forecast up here does not look good, so I'm trying to take advantage of every couple hour window slot that I have during the day. So let's get to it. Enough talking to you guys. Got him. Cold water bass. Eating the old rumbler though. Come here. That did not take long. Nice 15-incher. Get you back. Oh, the cold water bite. Keying in on little stretches of rock like this is always a good thing. I mean, I never felt that fish. It just kind of got heavy, almost like I picked up a weed. Definitely one of those cold water spinnerbait bites, but I don't know why. I don't know what it is about cold water and throwing your bigger blades. I mean, you see it like every year. I mean, our water temp is 49 right now, but you see it every year in these cold water Bassmaster Classics, like on Grand Lake. You know, the fisheries like that, it's just one of those baits. The big bladed, single bladed spinnerbait is a great way to generate strikes in that cold water. It's like the fish see it as a good meal, and it's like they know they're not looking to feed much, but they get one easy meal going by them, so they feed up on it. In this case, there's just a little stretch of some rock right here. Oh, there's another one, same spot. He thumped it. I was just getting ready to say, a lot of times you can catch multiple fish, and look at, there's a smallmouth. That's why he hit it so hard. He's not even a big one. 13-incher. I was just gonna say, a lot of times when you find a spot that's got fish, you can catch multiple fish from that one area. Ate that thing good. Look at that. God. just got a flat here, and there's a bunch of wood scattered out on this flat, and we're just basically fan casting it. And you know, they're holding, they don't want to be in the current right now. With the water temp being 49.5, they'd much rather be out of the current, sitting you know, by a piece of wood getting some sun, just like that. Just caught that one. It's amazing how much the fish will move. And when I say current, I mean, you know, current, there's a main channel that runs through this lake. Got a little bit of current, these fish would much rather be up on these flats. And this one just has a ton of scattered stumps and wood and all kinds of stuff. It's just basically a little backwater area. And I'm not really fishing this either. I'm not fishing this, you know, like a traditional spinnerbait. I'm almost just kind of slow rolling it. And I'm really retrieving it with my rod tip. I'm kind of just pulling it, gather my line, pull it. And you can see, you know, when I reel it, can you see the rod tip is just do-do-do-do-do-do. It's like almost like a chatterbait. Oh, I stopped it right into a log. It's almost like a chatterbait. That's how much vibration this blade has. And it's a special blade. It's basically a cross between a Indiana blade and a there we go, and a willow blade, or a Indiana blade and a Colorado blade. You can see it's kind of a longer Colorado. Pretty cool little blade, and it just puts off so much vibration. There's one. Oh, that one feels good. Feels like a catfish. Oh, it's a big bass. He was just wallowing in that cold water. Look at that rumbler one, guys. God, that's a good one. Come here. Oh. Cold water bassin', got them big old red lips like that. I don't know why they turned that way, but this guy wanted that rumbler. Spinning like a catfish. That fish is definitely pushing 4 pounds. Fatty. I like rumblers. Let's get him back. Man, that's a nice one. Let's get him back. See a fish. In that cold water, he just was rolling like a catfish. I mean, you can see here, 49.6. We're just fishing around this flat. There's some random stumps. But anytime you're talking about cold, muddy water like we've got right now, that little bit of vibration, I shouldn't say little bit, I should say a lot of bit of vibration from that blade just calls them up. But I'm just feathering this bait. I let it go to the bottom and I kind of pull it with the rod tip, retrieve it, you know, reel in my line. And what that's doing is it's creating a pulsating motion in the water. I mean, you get already a ton of movement. So if you look at my rod tip, you can see it just pounding and thumping, and that blade with that Invisawire just vibrates so well. And it's calling the fish up, but because I'm retrieving so slow, I'm not pulling the bait out of the strike zone real fast. You know, if I was throwing a willow bladed spinnerbait, I could not retrieve it this slow without being right on the bottom. But this big hybrid blade keeps it up a little bit. You know, I'm fishing, what am I in, 3.5 feet of water. There's kind of a ditch that runs through here. Oh, there's one right there, another one. God, I was not in a good position. Took my hand off to show you where the ditch was. He hit it right on the edge of that ditch. Real classic kind of fall spot. Classic spring spot too, pre-spawn spot. Another 2-pounder. they just get right on the edges of the ditch. The ditch has got, you know, you can see here, there's a ditch. We're in 3 feet and it just kind of rotates. You know, you get a little bit of a ditch, it probably goes down to 5 foot or so. These fish are just sitting up in here kind of warming. By this afternoon, my bet is that they would be up on the shoreline cover, but I don't think they're up on that stuff quite as good. You know, they're kind of sitting down. We had such a cool night. But you know, when you find one that you can generally really just fish around real slow and catch more than one in that area, just like, you know, we're doing right here. Just a blast. I mean, that last one cracked it real good, and that 4-pounder just felt like a wet sock moved up on it. One of my favorite ways to fish, though. I mean, I think a spinnerbait, like for all of us, like as a kid, was one of the first baits. But there's so much more than, so much more to a spinnerbait than just like the traditional cast and wind. I mean, I would almost say I'm fishing this almost more like a football jig than I am a spinnerbait. But you know, it's one of those tools that, yeah, you can catch them just straight retrieving, but if you can really figure out the retrieve that they want on a spinnerbait, it's one of those tools that's hard to beat. Really is a very, very good fish catching tool. A couple of things I want to point out about the rumbler blade, the Invisawire. So just, this is what makes this thing so good. First, the Invisiwire's got like a brown color to it, so it really blends in well, and hence the Invisawire name. Blends in much better with water, doesn't create a bunch of flash like you get with some standard like stainless steel ones or titanium ones. And it's got a ton of movement in this blade. It just really does rock really well. It's basically like a medium wire blade, but it's more of a light wire frame, if that makes sense. You get the strength of a medium wire, but you get the vibration of a light wire. I mentioned already that the hybrid blade, it's a cross between a Colorado and a Indiana blade. This thing puts off so much thump. And then when you're talking about the rest of the bait here, you just got a really good high quality skirt that's got a ton of movement in the water, which is what I think separates good spinner baits from average spinner baits. You got to have a skirt that just flows and undulates. And then a super sharp hook on here. This thing is ready to roll. I mean, it's a phenomenal bait. This is the 1/2 ounce size that I'm throwing. I would be throwing a little bit heavier if I was fishing a little bit deeper, but like I said, I'm only fishing, you know, for the most part, most of my bites are probably coming in 3 foot of water. And I don't want this thing burying in the ground. I want it to kind of, you know, tick the bottom and come up over the stumps and the logs that I'm fishing. So, you know, I'm going with the 1/2 ounce here, but they have a whole bunch of different sizes. So I just let it go to the bottom. And once it hits the bottom, I just kind of start pumping it. Just a nice steady retrieve, but I'm really not picking up the line with my reel until I'm just picking up the slack from my little sweep. You know, I'm probably pulling it, I'm gonna say 3 feet at a time, and just really trying to remain close to the targets, remain close to the bottom, because in this cold water, the fish aren't looking to come up and chase. You know, you still need to kind of keep it in their strike zone, which is why I love this thing so much, because you can really just kind of hover it there. It's not like a normal spinnerbait where you got to keep it moving to keep the blades moving. But in this case, I can just kind of almost, you know, I want to say I'm fishing like a football head. I'm not dragging it. I'm just really keeping it close to the bottom where I can tick the bottom every once in a while. Feels good. That's another nice one. Not a giant. Thought you were a little better. Not a giant. We'll take them. There he is. God, they like that little thump, or that little pause. Another nice one. Woo. Strong, nice one. Oh, come here. They like that. They just like that pause. You know, you pause it and they thump it. That one's pushing probably 2.5. Like that one just hit totally on just a little bit of a, you know, on that sweep, you're just pulling it, give it a little pull, and just, he hit her nice. It's funny how these fish are either they're just knocking the snot out of it, or it's just like, feels like you just picked up a leaf or a wet sock or something. And that's cold water fishing. I mean, it's how they are. I don't know why it's that way. Some are still super active and others are just, it's almost like they hit it and they're just swimming with you while you're retrieving it. All right, so we're kind of at a little decision point here. We've caught, I don't know, 5 or 6, some good ones. So the main lake is that way. I'm in a big bay right now, and there's a channel that runs, you know, that 4 or 5 foot channel kind of runs down this gut. Well, the bay keeps going. We're about halfway back, but the channel ends right here. So the question is, do you keep going back where you're going to have potentially shallower water that's going to warm up faster, or do you stay out around the ditch? And my decision at this point, being that it's 10 o'clock in the morning, you know, we've been out an hour and the fishing has been good by the ditch, I'm staying by the ditch. I think later in the afternoon, the fish are going to be probably back up there more. But right now, being that it's early and the water isn't really warming that much because the sun's not that high, I think you're better off staying here in the ditch. Now, if I had a ton of time, I might go explore a little bit more. I might, you know, I think probably what I would do is finish fishing the ditch area. And if, you know, I continue to catch them, I'd probably go up and fish that shallow flat up over here. But right now, I think we're going to stay out here and see if we can catch a few more. But that's kind of one of the joys about fishing, is just figuring out how to catch the fish and where they're going to be. And sometimes we think we know, sometimes we don't. But I feel like I'm going to stay close to the ditch. There's one. Ooh, nice one. Another 2 1/4 probably. Maybe a little less, 2 1/4. Popped it over that log. Ooh, another nice one. Another nice one. Come on. Oh. Another nice one. They are chewing the old rumbler blade. Nice cold water, starting to get the cold water markings. Guys, if you haven't tried a big bladed spinnerbait like this rumbler blade by Picasso in the cold water temperatures, this is one that you're going to want to try. This thing is killer this time of year. It's great in the pre-spawn. It's great at night in the summer. It's one of those spinnerbaits you need to pick up. This has been a fun hour and a half. No complaints here. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned, new video coming out tomorrow.